Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me again. This is Dr. Stephen Walker, broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. This is my twice a week mental health live stream where we just talk about mental health. We talk about mental illness. We talk about whatever is on your mind. So tonight, boy, we had some good live stream Tuesday with Dr. Bowarshi from the Florida TMS Clinic. I want to give him a big shout out and tell him again, thank you for joining. Here's his website. If you want to find out about TMS treatment for depression, that video is on my YouTube channel. And again, if you're catching this on YouTube, please check out some of the other videos I have up there. We've got some videos going back to 5 years and really good content up there. So you can, and again, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us with getting better airplay. So set your notifications so that you can be notified when we go live, because, you know, again, this is my attempt to normalize conversations about mental health, mental illness, talk about what's on your mind. If you're struggling with something, like I said before, I'm going to do the topic for the first 15, 20 minutes and then open it up for comments and questions and whatever's on your mind, really, because again, this isn't about me just talking. This is about me engaging with you about what's going on with your mental health or your mental illness. And when I say mental illness, we all have a degree of mental illness. We all have a degree of physical illness. So we all have a degree of mental illness, and we need to be working on that. Hey, Miranda, how are you? Thanks for logging on live. So let's talk a little bit about how to get over it or let it go. Okay, let's talk about that, because you hear that all over the internet. You hear that on various YouTube channels, various people who are self-professed mental health experts. And I know that may sound arrogant, but I have put in the time. I put in the hours in clinical training. And yes, I do feel that if you're going to be taking mental health advice or get help on your emotions or motivation or anything involving your thoughts and emotions, you should try to find somebody who's licensed and has some experience working directly with clients, because otherwise you really need to ask yourself, you know, what is going on with this person? Who are they to give me mental health advice? Why do they think advice that may have worked for them will automatically work for me? And that's a lot of the problems I see. Hey, Penny. Hi, Samantha. How are you? Thanks for joining us again. So let's talk a little bit about this whole idea of getting over it. You know, I hear that a lot from people who are struggling with various forms of trauma. So again, I'm going to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'm going to address any comments or questions that have come up. So do not stop commenting. Do not stop. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Do not stop asking questions. I'm going to get to all your questions after about 15 or 20 minutes. So do not stop asking questions. Okay. If you have something on your mind that you'd like to talk about that isn't about the topic, please ask the question or make the comment, because this is not about just me coming on and talking. This is about trying to get people to normalize, get them normalized or get them used to the idea of talking about their mental health. So please share this. Let's pull some more people in. Don't be afraid to be on a live stream about mental health and mental illness, because that's what we should all be talking about. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of getting over it. Okay, I hear this a lot. Oh, I should be over this by now. I shouldn't be still affected by this. I shouldn't be still bothered by something that happened to me in my childhood, or something that happened to me years ago in a relationship, or years ago, or some negative event that's happened. The idea of being able to get over it or get over whatever is troubling you is a ridiculous idea to start off with, meaning that you should never go into the process of healing some emotional wound you have with the idea of, I want to get over it. Because the problem with that is that sets you up for false expectations, and that sets you up for the idea that you're going to forgive and forget. Let's say somebody has hurt you. You're never going to forget something negative or positive that's happened to you. You can no more forget something than if I said to you, okay, try really hard and let's forget, you know, that you learned English, or let's forget a happy memory that you have. The issue with getting over something is that people don't want to deal with the negative emotions that are associated with whatever they're feeling. So a lot of times when you hear someone saying, get over it, they're basically telling you, well, I don't know how to help you. Just like you guys have heard me say many times about the whole idea of letting it go. People who tell you to just let it go are basically telling you that I don't know how to deal with your negative emotions. I don't know how to help you deal with whatever's troubling you. And that's one of the problems that people have, is that we do not allow people to to be okay with how they feel, whether that's positive or negative. And I know now the big catchphrase in mental and all over is being not being okay with not being okay. Okay, great. That's what we've been, us mental health people have been working on, working with people for many years, is helping them be okay. And if you've heard any of my mental health live streams, I call it the it's okay pill. It's okay how you feel. But when you're told, or when you want to get over something, basically what you're saying, or what you have to admit to yourself, is there's something still affecting you. There's something still bothering you. And that's the problem that a lot of people have. A lot of people do not like admitting to themselves that they still have things that they need to get over. So they spend their time in denial, telling themselves, oh, this isn't bothering me, or or they guilt themselves by feeling that, that I shouldn't still be affected by this. And then you have, a lot of times, you've got the person who caused you the pain telling you, you haven't forgiven me for that yet. You haven't gotten over that. Well, maybe they haven't gotten over it because you haven't given them a chance to talk it out with you. Maybe they haven't gotten over it because you caused them pain that you haven't owned. And I don't like to rail against a particular gender, but men, we are the biggest perpetrators when it comes to inflicting pain and not owning it. I'm not saying exclusively, I'm not saying all men do this, but men in general do not own when they've hurt somebody. Men in general do not apologize for when they've done something wrong. Now, I'm not saying that all men are like this, but a lot of the abuse, a lot of the negativity that is thrust upon people on this planet is caused by men. That's why men outnumber women in prison by 95%. We need to work on the fact that it's okay that we are in pain, that we haven't gotten over things that happened to us when we were boys. A lot of men don't even like to admit that they're still being affected by teasing or bullying, because that would then admit that they were teased or bullied and they were in a defenseless position, and that it was still affecting them. Because men do not allow themselves to feel generally. And I shouldn't say that, and I'm not saying this as a broad-based statement. Sorry, my 5-year-old son is watching his YouTube next to me, because that's what happening in a pandemic. We can't, we don't have the ability to have a babysitter, which is fine. He'll probably say good night before I sign off. And I'm teaching him how to own his emotions. I'm teaching him how to talk about how he feels. I'm teaching him that he needs to be expressive when he hurts somebody, that he needs to apologize for that. So in general, when I hear people saying that somebody's telling them they need to get over something or let it go, that's a euphemism for, look, it's your problem that you got negatively affected by something I said or did. I can't own that. I have no apologies to make. I did what I did. Take me or leave me. And in general, when you're being told to get over something, you need that person who's telling you that to own what they've done in order to help you let it go. Now, that's in the, present to, close past, meaning it's not the distant past. So if you're still struggling with things that are still affecting you from the distant past, the only way to get over it, is to get into it. Okay? Is to get into it and begin dealing with it. Because if you think that you're going to get over something by not dealing with it, you're sadly mistaken. And there are people out there who would make the case that, oh, well, you don't want to dwell on the negative. You don't want to dwell. Yeah, right, Samantha, no cursing. It's funny you say that, because there are moments when I'm doing a session with somebody and he'll come into the room and I'll have to let them know, okay, if you hear me censoring, he's in the room. But if you want to let go of something, you have to get into it first. You have to deal with it, because once you get over it, you're going to once you get into it, then you're going to be slowly able to assimilate it, to absorb it into you. The idea of segregating out your pain or segregating out emotional wounds is akin to, being a believer in segregation as a way to solve the problems of society. And we all know how well that worked. Integration is the only way to heal, in my book. Okay. Now people will say, well, you shouldn't just focus on the negative. You shouldn't just focus on the negative. You don't just focus on the negative when you're working through your issues, but you focus on the negative therapeutically in order to deal with it. Not dealing with it is why you haven't gotten over it or haven't let it go, so to speak. This idea that you see it all over social media, mental health, just let it go, just focus on the positive, live your best life. Imagine that, live your best life. It gets views and it gets followers, but imagine that. So that the idea that you can live your best life every minute of the day or feel that way is snake oil, is complete snake oil. It's not sustainable. You're going to have moments when you're living your best life, and you're going to have moments when you're not living your best life. The key to this process of healing is treatment. Now, I'm not saying you need to talk to someone like me. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that you need to treat the wound. You have to look at whatever is still affecting you as an untreated wound within you that needs treatment. And by treatment, I mean it needs to be addressed. It needs to be dealt with. So if you're working, or if you're listening to someone on the internet who's telling you and there are a lot of good charismatic speakers. You see them on, TED Talk used to be a place for experts, but now I guess it's anybody who is charismatic and has an opinion. But there's so many different variations on letting it go. There's so many, you did, and they're all the same message. Ignore your negative thoughts and emotions. Don't deal with how you feel. And my motto is, you gotta deal with how you feel. And again, remember, I'm going to talk, stay on topic, because that's the feedback I've gotten. And then we're going to get into questions and comments. Anybody struggling with something that they want some, process time, or they have questions about mental illness or mental health, or they're struggling with something or a different topic, please post your question and I will get to as many as I can. Okay. And again, share this if you're watching it. Let's bring some more people in so we can have a lively discussion about mental illness and mental health. Okay. The idea that we should let go of our negativity is a fallacy. It's being propagated by people who are companies who are either trying to sell us pills or treatments like alcohol, shopping, whatever other thing that gets us away from the negativity. Why? Because they do not, right? They don't and not, and it came out donut. They do not know how to deal with negative emotions. They don't know how to therapeutically work with negativity. Just like the same thing where if you walked up to somebody without any training and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about killing myself," I will, because they don't know how to deal with that. You say that to somebody like me, and we're going to absorb it and we're going to work on it. I'm not going to tell somebody who's struggling with negative emotions. I'll just imagine somebody comes into my office, or now everything's online. And I love that, by the way, that everything's moving online. But imagine I tell them, oh, they're talking about some pain from their past. And I tell them, oh, just let it go. Just let it go. Let's not talk about it. Think about it in terms of a phobia. So you have a phobia and you go to work with somebody to try to help you with it. And they say, okay, we're going to focus like let's say spiders. We're going to focus not on spiders. You have to deal with how you feel, whether that's negative or not. Letting it go, the only way, like I said before, the only way to let it go or to get over it is to get into it, is to spend some time getting into it, admitting to yourself that you can't, like Samantha's saying, that you just can't cope sometimes. And that's okay. But that's why it's important to find the right people to help you with what you can't cope with. Because the key with this whole process of mental health and mental illness is that you've got to work through what you're feeling. But see, a lot of people, when you hear people saying to you to get over it or let it go, what they're basically saying is that I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be reminded of that. You haven't gotten over that yet? Because especially if they have caused the emotional wound. If they have caused the emotional wound, then they definitely don't want to admit, like I said before, men are notorious for this. They certainly don't want to admit that they are the ones that caused it, or they don't want to deal with it, or they don't know how to deal with it. Okay? So the first step in getting over something or letting it go is to admit that there's something there that I need to let go of and get over, meaning that there's something I need to work on. So once you do that, then you take down, remember we talked about hating how you feel and adding negative emotion to that. Once you take down the negative emotion associated with what you're feeling, meaning hating how you feel, then you're able to look at it from a position of something you need to work on, much like any other physical wound or physical ailment you may have. You're never, ever going to let go of something that you know is affecting you, because if you remember, I did a live stream about a month and a half ago, calling identifying what it is. And it is something that you know is still affecting you, that you have to deal with. Now, fear comes in, right? We're told, oh man, if I start thinking about that, or I'm working with somebody right now who is just finally facing some sexual abuse they went through. And for many years, they didn't deal with it because they were literally afraid that it was going to consume them and overwhelm them. And yes, are there times during a treatment process, does something physically emotionally overwhelm you? Yes, but you're with somebody who can help you work through that, can help you process that. Okay. So I'm going to get to all the comments and questions. So please keep them coming. Okay, everybody, please remember, this is not just about me speaking for an hour, 45 minutes. I need you guys to engage with me. If you have something that's still troubling you, if you know somebody that's still being affected by something, or if you're in a position where, you're trying to help somebody deal with something, the key is to encourage people, or to by saying that it's okay that you're still struggling with that. Now, when I talk about it's okay, that's a form of acceptance. And if you remember, we've talked about two forms of acceptance, passive and active. Passive acceptance is, oh, it's like if I was an alcoholic, it's okay that I'm an alcoholic, so I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to go drink. Why? That's what alcoholics do. I accept it. That's passive acceptance. Active acceptance is, I'm not going to hate myself for being an alcoholic, because as you can imagine, in 20 years of doing this, over 20 years, how many self-loving addicts I've met is zero. Self-hate fuels addiction. So I'm not going to hate myself for being an addict. I'm not, but I'm just saying, if I was, I'm going to say it's okay that I have this addiction, but I have to work on it. And that's active acceptance. So when you encourage somebody, if you see somebody struggling, don't tell them, get over it, let it go. That's the worst thing you can tell them, because what you're basically telling them, excuse me, what you're basically telling them is, why are you still feeling like this? That's you're still affected by this. I had somebody who the death of somebody very close to them, and they're still struggling with it. And for a lot of people, would look at them like, what? That was years ago. Imagine telling somebody that who's struggling with the death of somebody. Now, the flip side to that coin is, no, you don't want somebody just wallowing in despair, but telling them to get over it or let it go. You're basically telling them, look, I don't know how to deal with your feelings. I don't want to own, or if I've caused the pain, I don't want to deal with that. And that's a form of abuse. Okay. It's a form of abuse to tell a victim of abuse that they should just let it go, that they should just get over it. This is being perpetrated by people. And I really hope if you're watching this live or you're catching this after I post it, the next time you're looking at a self-improvement, self-help video or whatever, look in the section about the person. Who is this? Who is this telling you this? I was watching a gentleman the other day, or did it happen to come on YouTube, and I looked at and no mental health training, and he's giving advice on how to deal with trauma. Why? Because he's stolen ideas from other psychologists or people in the field, and now he's an expert on this. And it's just staggering that people are ingesting information about how to deal with their mental health and mental illness from people who have no training. I mean, if you're going to take advice on physical health or dental health from people who are untrained, then that's your decision. But I would highly doubt if you have a sharp pain in your stomach or you're bleeding or whatever, that you're gonna not seek out some professional licensed healthcare provider to help you with that. Same thing with mental illness. Same thing with mental health. You should be questioning who is telling you this, especially if they're telling you in some various form of, very charismatic way. Just get over it, man. Just let it go. And they get all so just let it go. Just let it go. As if that's the solution to negative thoughts and emotions. No, it's not. And I'm sorry if you believe letting it go is a solution to yours or someone else's negative thoughts and emotions. You're in denial. You're literally in denial. Okay. So the main way to get over things or let them go is you got to get into them and let them out. You got to talk it out. You've got to loosen up that so that you can work on it. I have another client that I've just started with, and this person has, been troubled with feelings of self-worth and low self-esteem, and we were talking about it, and the report I got back today, in fact, was that the person was able to, from just one session of working through some of this, stand up and get what he needed from his job. Okay. And that's what I'm talking about, is you've got to work. You've got to talk things out. The act of talking things out is a form of letting it go, because you're letting it out of you. You're releasing it. To get over it, you're getting into it and you're talking it out. But see, there are a couple of things that prevent people from wanting to let it, to talk it out, is pessimism. Is they believe, this is never going to heal. I'm never going to feel better. So what do? They internalize it, and they begin believing that the only way to deal with it is by, I got to just let it go. I got to write it on a piece of paper, crumple it up, and throw it away. Not a bad exercise, but it's not going to get into that deeper stuff that is affecting you. But again, mental health stigma, okay? We have a stigma in this country, not only in this country, but in the world, where people seem to look at people who are struggling with various forms of mental illness as weak or affected by demons or whatever it may be. That is what's preventing people from dealing with their thoughts and emotions, okay? That is what's dealing with preventing people, because we continue to believe that there's something wrong with feeling negativity, feeling negative thoughts and emotions. That is what's preventing people from getting the help they want, because of the shame that they have ingested. That's cultural conditioning. Remember, we talk about personal conditioning, meaning that you were conditioned in a way by your family, your friends, people in your immediate circle. Cultural conditioning is we have these cultural ideas that teach us and condition us to believe certain things about us. And one of the things like I'm addressing tonight is this cultural conditioning that you got to get over. That there's an easy way, or you can just convince yourself that you're over it. If there's something in your past or in your mind that you say to yourself, I can't talk about that. I don't want to deal with that. Oh, I can't talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. That is a sign to you that it's still affecting you. Okay? Because if you see anybody who's been through any trauma and they talk about it very openly and they're okay with discussing it, that is because they've worked on it. They've integrated it into them and they're able to assimilate it into their self-image, and they're not afraid to talk about it. That is the indication to you. If there's something in you that you can't talk about, it's still affecting you, people. Just because you're not aware that it's affecting you, it's still affecting you. Okay? And telling people that you've let it go or gotten over it and you haven't worked on it or done any work talking it out, working it through with somebody that can help you with that, you're lying to yourself. Okay, you're buying into this idea that there's something wrong with how you think and feel. So I'm going to get to some questions and comments in about 2 minutes. So please post them, ask them. So just to sum up, okay, you want to get over something. If you want to let it go, you've got to accept that it's still bothering you. You've got to accept that it's still causing you pain. You've got to make that okay, and you've got to start dealing with it. And one of the ways to deal with it, one of the main ways, is through therapeutically exposing yourself to it in a therapeutic way, meaning slowly exposing yourself to it in a way that makes you more able to deal with it and assimilate it into you. And that process takes time and work, just like building a muscle, okay? You got to take time to build that muscle by talking it out, okay? So I'm going to get to some comments and questions. If anybody, is watching this and thinks I'm full of what and wants to challenge me on why my philosophy on why letting it go and just acting like, oh, I'm going to get over it is BS, feel free. I'm always willing to have spirited debates, no name calling and all that. And people who post, snarky little comments, you might get a snarky comment back. You pose a decent question with a out of respect, we'll get the respect. Okay, so let's get to some comments and questions here. Let me just back up. Samantha is saying sometimes we can't get over it and we learn how to deal with it. Yes, that's true, Samantha. Sometimes we do learn to deal with it by not getting over it. But what I would offer to you, Samantha, and you've been a frequent viewer, so I appreciate all your input and support. I would offer to you, when you say you can't get over it, what do you mean by that? Like, why can't you, have you tried to get into it? Have you tried to work it through? Have you tried to deal with it from a position of therapeutically dealing with it on a level where you can talk that out, you can work that through? Now, I think, as I'm remembering here, Samantha, you've got some issues with chronic pain and some other traumas. So, see, one of the things that you learn in doing this work, as long as I have, is I'm an optimist. I am an optimist when it comes to, I absolutely believe everyone has the capacity to heal more. Absolutely. I believe that with every fiber of my being. Now, does that mean you're going to be pre-trauma levels of how you felt and used to be happy or whatever? I don't know, maybe, but that takes work. There was an incident many years ago when I was a kid where Joe Theismann, he was a football player, and Lawrence Taylor snapped his leg on Monday Night Football, and he broke his leg and was never able to play football again. But guess what he was able to do? Walk, play golf. I think he runs some. So emotional wounds are kind of like that, okay? Emotional wounds. Now imagine if after he broke his leg, he just, let it go. I'm just gonna let this break go. I'll just get over it. No, he got treatment on it. But we don't work on those things that break us. So Samantha, with all due respect, when you say sometimes we can't get over it and learn to deal with it, I would encourage you to find some other ways to deal with it. Whatever the it is, I'll just go down and see here if you've responded. I don't package everything up and put it away. Okay, good, good. You've got to deal with how you feel. So yeah, I would say to you that yes, you need to learn and keep learning on new ways to deal with it. Because like we had Dr. Bawarshi on the other night, there's TMS, there are multiple treatments. You can do drug therapy along with talk therapy, as he showed. That is the best way to deal with a lot of emotional wounds. Okay, so right, Melissa, head first. Yes, let's see. They just can't cope. They don't know how. True, but we need to learn how to cope. So Samantha's saying her sister's death anniversary is this month. It's kicking my butt. She's died on 2013, and everyone wants me to let it go, I know. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. Samantha had the loss of her sister, a huge gap in her hole in her soul, so to speak, and people are telling you to just let go. And I don't know why people tell you that. And I'm guessing that, so when they tell you to let it go, Samantha, you just feel instantly better, right? You just feel instantly better, and you've let it go, and oh, thank you for, no, you feel like people don't care. You feel like people aren't empathizing with you, and you feel like people don't really understand what you're going through. Okay, so I would say to you, Samantha, again, I don't know what your treatment protocols are, meaning how you're working on it, but it sounds like you need to do some grieving work, some work on allowing yourself to feel that and mourn that in a therapeutic way. So Jo from YouTube is asking, what if you're barely aware of what it is? Great question, Jo. Great question. Well, what I would offer you is, if you're barely aware of what is, that's probably because there's something there that you're not dealing with. So, there's a lot of debate in this field about repressed memories and recovering repressed memories. I have mixed feelings on that. But what I would say to you, Jo, is if you feel that there is an it there, then start allowing yourself to get into a situation where you can start facing that. I'm not saying on your own. If it's an it that you're barely aware of, that could be a sign of trauma, significant trauma that you may have suppressed or covered over by not dealing with it. But schedule some sessions with somebody. I think you're in Canada. Find somebody. You guys have way better healthcare than us, so I don't know what your mental health care is like up there. But schedule an appointment and say that with somebody. Hey, look, something's there, man. I got this feeling that something's affecting me or causing me. Can we just process it, and if they're good at what they do, and I'm not saying that and everyone's not good, but I'm just saying if they're good, they'll slowly help you begin going back to times where give you some more reference points, memory-wise, taking you back and slowly see what's there. But Jo, if you're thinking that there's something is there, deal with it, okay? Deal with it, because you're not going to achieve that potential that you can if you feel that there's something there holding you back. Melissa is saying, great to have Melissa back, by the way. Thanks, Melissa, for coming, joining us at the new time. I was wondering if maybe you could help me help my husband. He basically shows very little emotion. It seems he experiences very little emotion on a regular basis, but this means he finds himself very handicapped. When he does emotionally handicapped, when he does something that emotionally trips me up or triggers me, I am the complete opposite of him, where I experience it really strong, powerful emotion. Sure, I know he's experienced a very difficult childhood, but he never really speaks about that. In fact, he rarely speaks at all. Well, there you go. Are there tips to helping bridge this gap between us? I feel he has adopted more silence to avoid hurting me. And this isn't conducive from our bond together. Well, you know what, Melissa, read him this post. This is a great start. Read him this post and ask him, just, honey, what is going on? And do it, let him know, look, I'd like to talk with you about some things. I want to find out how we can become more emotionally connected. Try to join with him from the level, not of judgment or not of, nagging. Not saying women all nag, men nag too in their own way. I'm not making any sexist comment, but nagging in the sense of, well, come on, just talk about this, or why aren't you? But do it in a way where he's encouraged that you will accept him, that this will help the marriage. Men are fixers. Maybe you can give him an idea of ways he can fix whatever's troubling him. Find out, a little bit about why he doesn't like talking about his childhood, but prep him a little bit. Like, honey, I want to have a talk with you. I want to see if you're okay. Do my elevated levels of emotionality, does that negatively affect you? And maybe you can put the focus on you in the beginning and then shift it back to him. But give him some incentives, meaning ask him, what do you think about our emotional connection in our marriage? What do you think about how we connect or how we express emotion? Give him ways in small chunks that he can bite off. I don't know what his emotional intelligence is, meaning I don't know how much he's aware of it. But from what you're telling me, I would surmise that he knows that his very difficult childhood is still affecting him. And he's probably falling into that guy thing where he doesn't like to admit that he's hurting. I don't know if he's ever cried in front of you. I don't know what level of emotionality you've seen from him, but just start slowly talking about it. But let him know that this is something that needs to be addressed. Let him know that this is something we need to start working on. So, let me know what your thoughts about that, and I'll look for a comment further down. So, but basically the bottom line is, you gotta come at him in a way that you know him, what he can and can't do. Don't come at him maybe like right after work or something, but you gotta start prepping him by saying, honey, we need to talk about some things. We need to work through some things, and encourage him to that it's okay as a man that he's still hurting from his childhood. It's okay. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to look less of you as a man. Men do not like and I'm not saying we own women. I mean that in the sense of my wife, my girlfriend, whatever it may be. We don't like being judged as unmasculine or unmanly, or we have this hardwired protector into us. So maybe he learned along the way that he's not supposed to feel bad about himself, or he's not supposed to feel that he shouldn't still be hurting. Tell him it's okay. Tell him it's okay, and that you're going to love him and you're going to still respect him. Okay. People tell me, this is from Samantha, people tell me that I would heal if I would let it go. They have no clue. Exactly. Well, ask them. How do you know that? How do you know that I'm going to heal if I would let it go? And by the way, how do I let it go? Can you tell me that? Can you operationalize that for me? What do you mean by if I would? Well, pin them down. Okay, so you're telling me that I will heal if I let it go. Well, how do you let it go? And you know what? They're going to look at you and go, you just let it go. Sorry, I shouldn't mock people, but you know what I mean? They're not going to give you tools and tips to help you let it go. Okay. So Melissa's consoling Samantha. Yes, they should be aware of your loss. Loss is a painful period. And the loss of a loved one never stops leaving an impression in your life. At least that is my belief. Yeah, exactly. So you got to talk about it. So Lee J from YouTube is asking, how is it possible for someone who was born unwanted getting over that very first rejection? Excellent question. That's an excellent question. Okay. Wow. Great. Lots of people chiming in tonight. I may not be able to get to everybody, but thank you. Please keep them. I'll try to answer them offline if they post onto the YouTube. Very good question. So how is it possible for someone who was born unwanted to get over that or to deal with that, this very first rejection? Well, Lee J, if it's you or somebody you know, the first question as a mental health treatment provider is, have you worked on that? Have you gotten into that? Have you felt what that rejection feels like? The problem with early childhood trauma like that is it does get wired into our brain at a very early age, and it becomes part of our self-identity. Can you ever you can't really unlearn it, because you can't unlearn. That's another thing I'm going to do a live stream on, this idea of unlearning things, which is just anyone who tells you to unlearn something is showing their complete lack of knowledge when it comes to how people heal. So my question, the first thing is, yes, I do feel it's possible. I have worked with somebody who went through similar things of what you're talking about early childhood trauma with abuse, cigarette burns, being forced to lie on one side of the person's body, and rejection from a birth parent. We were able to do some good work because the person was able to talk a lot of that pain out, what that rejection feels like. A lot of people who struggle with rejection don't actually talk about how they're feeling, meaning they hold that rejection in, and that rejection becomes embedded in them as their self-identity. So they actually begin to think that their nurture, meaning what they learned, is actually their nature. And a lot of times we do that. We do that all the time because we don't actually allow ourselves to feel negative thoughts and emotions. So I would say, is it possible for someone who was born unwanted to get over that very first rejection? Again, what's the topic is we're talking about, Lee. You're not going to get over it, but you can learn to manage it. Deep early childhood trauma like that is like the Joe Theismann metaphor. You learn to deal with it. You learn ways to counterbalance it by dealing with it and questioning the idea that you're going to always be rejected, or that you have no value, or that you have no self-worth. These are all the things that you need to spend some time working through so that you can start learning a new way of relating to yourself. Okay? So I hope that helped. And please follow up if you have any other questions. Let's see. Juan is saying, Supply, what do you think about being born into circumstances you can't control? Great question. Lee is saying one can easily identify with that. It is but to let it go when it is part of one's own self-image. How? Again, Lee, thank you for the follow-up. You got to start questioning your self-image. This is what people in my field help people do all the time. They try to help you question these conditioned self-image. Trauma has a way of making us believe that our self-image is who we are. And that takes time to question. That takes time to form a counterweight, a sort of a yin to the yang that begins challenging that idea. So Lee, if this is you, I would imagine you've struggled in relationships feeling worthy, or feeling good about yourself, or feeling that you're of value, that you can be loved, or you're expecting rejection a lot. These are some deep wounds that you need to start working on and talking out. Talking about how you feel, people, is the way you let it go, because you're holding things in, and the process of talking things out is how you let it go, and that takes time. Okay? Samantha saying, people say I talk about things too much about my past. Well, Samantha, I don't know. Are you talking to them about it, I don't know what you're expecting from them. Are you talking to somebody in a position that can help you, give you the feedback so that you can get that release? Maybe you need to work on talking with somebody who is going to look at it like, good job, keep talking about it. Samantha saying we were molested together. Yes. So if there is sexual trauma in your past, that needs to be worked through, guys. These are emotional wounds like physical wounds. If I was a cardiologist or a physical therapist or whatever that deals with a dentist, whatever it may be, I'm going to be encouraging people, well, if you got a toothache, if you have a knee pain, an orthopedist, if you got heart pain, you got to go to somebody who can help you with that. Okay. So Juan is saying, Lee, what about choice? You have the choice now, bud. Well, Juan, I know you're trying to help my brother, but telling somebody you have the choice, that's not really true, because Lee may not feel like he has the choice. Let's assume that Lee was rejected as a child, and he's, I don't know, Lee, maybe you're in your 20s or 30s or whatever. He's never dealt with that. He doesn't have the choice just to snap out of that. And Juan, don't get me wrong, I'm not coming down in here. I appreciate you trying to help him. But when you tell somebody who's struggling with an emotional wound, you have the choice to feel better. A lot of times people don't have the choice, Juan. They don't until they start working on it. People do not. That's like saying somebody who has a broken arm, and they've never had that arm set or worked on. Oh, well, you have the choice of whether that arm is still going to affect you. No, they don't. They haven't dealt with things enough to even believe they have the choice. Feeling you have the choice whether good or not, is something that you have to work on, especially if you've been traumatized. If Lee is the one who went through early childhood rejection and never worked on it, he ain't got no choice. The only choice he has is to start working, not only, but you know what I mean? The choice he has at this point is to start working on it. Okay. Melissa's saying, replying to Samantha, she was survival partner. Exactly. Leah's saying that it can control a person's entire self-talk. That's powerful. Absolutely, my brother. And I'm assuming you're a man. Lee can be, a female too. But absolutely, that it can absolutely control your entire self-talk. Because let's take Lee's example. So Lee has never worked on this early rejection. Okay. That has now caused him or her to feel that for years and years and years and years and years. I know. We're going to bed soon. My 5-year-old. Okay, I'll be done in a minute, Bubba. So Lee continues to believe that he can't control his self-talk, and he believes that it's too powerful to do it. So now that embeds itself into him. So now he begins thinking that this is something he's going to always have to deal with. Lee, you got to get into a situation where you can start talking some of this out, bro. You got to. I guarantee you. I can't guarantee you're going to be magically, a different person, but you will feel a degree of alleviation of the pain. The pain you're feeling is so embedded in you now because you've been repressing it and holding it in for years. Now, again, I'm assuming you haven't worked on it. That's a big assumption on my part. So if that is not true, let me know. Melissa's saying to Samantha, I'm here if you need someone to talk to. Great. That's beautiful, Samantha. Thank you. Samantha, it's not easy to talk about it. Yes, I've gotten him to watch the videos. He's from Malaysia, so his emotional development is very different. That's true. Yeah, Asian people definitely. My wife is Asian, so Asian people definitely grow up in a situation in a lot of ways. They don't talk about how they feel, and they certainly don't talk to strangers about how they feel, because that means that they're bringing shame to the family. So I've had some friends and acquaintances from Indonesia and Malaysia, and there is a cultural conditioning there. Just keep letting him know, I'm going to love you, honey. This is, I'm not judging you negatively. I know, you're just keep trying to encourage him with the idea that it's okay what he's been through. Okay, whatever it may be. It may be a lot of abuse. It may be a lot of negative conditioning. Maybe he was the oldest son and he feels he's let his parents down, or whatever. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some racism he's endured in this country. I don't know. But just keep encouraging him and letting him know you're going to love him, that you're going to unconditionally love him for even if he has to deal with these issues. Okay. Samantha's saying we are making some progress, is starting to go somewhere. I just want to know if I'm pushing him where he needs a basic education on feeling. He could be. There's a great book out there called Emotional Intelligence. You can different podcasts, but again, encourage him. Maybe he can find an Asian therapist or an Asian counselor to work through some of this, somebody he's going to feel more of an affinity for, but just keep reminding him that it's not a bash to his masculinity if he has these issues. It's not. Okay, it's not. But yes, keep encouraging him that, look, you didn't learn these basic feelings from your father or from your mother. It's okay, but we need to work on it because it's having a negative effect on our relationship. But I support you, honey. I want you to heal, just like he probably supports you when your emotionality is going up. Okay. Juan is saying, dude, sounds like he might be burned out. Could be, Juan, but again, we don't want to judge him because he may be burned out because of some trauma he's went through that he hasn't dealt with. So, and I appreciate where you're coming from, Juan. I know you're trying to help. So let me just get to the bottom here and see if, so Lee has not re-commented. So I don't know if you're still on. I can't really see. Basically, whoops, sorry about that. Basically, Lee, if you're still on, brother, don't give up hope. Okay. Don't give up on the idea that you can't heal. A lot of this stuff that you're going through can absolutely heal. You've got to keep working on it. Okay. Juan is saying no problem, my bro. I'm just trying to help per se. I'm not trying to understand. Yeah, I feel you, bro. No, I appreciate your help and I appreciate your involvement. I'm just saying that a lot when we assume that people should have control, we're actually telling them, dude, what's the matter with you? Well, you can't control this. So I feel you. And I appreciate your involvement. Don't get me wrong. Hey, Kat, how are you? Nice to see you back. How's it going? Hope things are going well for you. So let me see here. So Jo is saying, I'm finding it hard to find a therapist here for that reason. Well, keep looking. I don't know if you have Psychology Today, but if you type in, this is a great resource for people who are looking for therapists. Psychology, if you just type into Google, Psychology Today therapist finder, that'll take you to their website, well, obviously, but it'll take you to a link to their website where you can put in, who you're looking for and what area of the world you're looking for so that you can get the help you need. Okay, Jo? So let me know how it goes. Shoot me some more questions, Kat. We all hope you're doing better. We hope that you're trying to keep doing that integrative work with your team. That's it's great to see you on here again. Why don't you, feel free to give us a little bit of background on how things are going. Just want to make sure I got to everyone's question and comment who chimed in tonight, because we're getting close to our hour here. So, okay, everybody, let's just recap real quick before I log off. The topic tonight was how to get over it or let it go. You got to get into it. You got to get into it. You got to talk it out. You got to deal with it. You got to say it's okay that you're still being affected by it. And you've got to work through those thoughts and emotions that are still affecting you. Do not lose hope. Okay. Don't fall into this idea that the future, meaning that I know I'm never going to heal. I know I'm never going to get back. Thanks, Sam. Exactly right. Psychology Today. I don't know if everyone can see that, but yeah, let me see if I can make that visible to everybody here. Yes, that's it right there. psychologytoday.com/US/therapist. That's a great website for looking up people in your area. And, most people are doing telepsychology now. So you can a lot of times you can find somebody that may not even be in your area and they may or may not take health insurance, find out what their sliding scale is, meaning what their cash rate is. Okay, great, Melissa. You're welcome. Keep working with him, but work with him from the idea that it's okay that he feels these feelings and that you're going to love him and accept him. But yeah, keep his feet to the fire, meaning, not like, I'm going to leave you if you don't work on this, but just keep talking about this, that he's got to work on this. Okay. Hey, Diego, how are you? Good to see you, my brother. Yes. Well, Diego put it out there. So yeah, we're getting into it. So, no problem, man. So, all right, good people, I'm going to be signing off here. We got some more guests coming on next week. And, just again, please don't fall into this idea that you cannot heal. Okay. Don't fall into this idea that you're broken for life, that there's no way you're going to ever feel better. Don't be ashamed of your emotional wounds. You did not ask for them. You did not ask to be wounded like this, okay? 9 times out of 10, a lot of this is thrust upon us. This is put upon us. Don't give up, okay? Do not give up. People who are telling you to let it go, or to just get over it, ask them how. Pin them down. Oh, okay, so I should let go of my sister's death. How? I'm just curious. How should I do that? No, you can't just repeat the question again or the answer again by let it go. No, how do I let it go? You're going to get that look. Oh, I don't know. Get into it, talk it out, and work through it. Okay. If you're on Twitter, please follow me. I'm trying to build following so that we can have lively discussions about mental health and mental illness. This is my website. Feel free to, shoot me questions or comments through there. Anybody wants to be a guest and talk about some things live or come on, you can shoot me a text here. And again, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube, please do this. Please, okay, because then they're going to the more subscribers we have, the more they're going to put our videos up higher, and the more people are going to see the videos and get help and realize that there's nothing wrong with having a degree of mental health and mental illness, because we all do. All right. So I will see you guys again Tuesday night. Do you want to say good night? No? Okay. He doesn't want to say goodnight. All of a sudden, he's shy. So please feel free to shoot me any questions you have on my website. And I'll see you guys again on Tuesday night, where we'll have another lively discussion. And yeah, Kat, hang in there. Kat saying it's been 23 years today since the abuse stopped. Kat takes today extremely rough, but she saved great. I'm glad you guys are starting to work together and protect each other. For those of you who don't know, Kat has dissociative identity disorder because of some severe trauma. She's trying to integrate it and work on it. So keep working on it. Okay, Juan, good. Thanks for joining on. Thanks for joining. And yeah, good night from Texas and everybody. Yeah, Seb, you don't want to say good night to everybody? No, okay. He's shy. Normally he's not, but it's getting towards his bedtime. So all right. Well, everybody, have a great weekend. Don't give up on yourself. Do not give up. Do not fall into that self-hatred because you have emotional wounds. You did not ask for them. You did not ask to still be affected by this. The next time, good night, J.O. Take it easy. Yeah, I know. I wish you could see him. He's so cute. Last chance to say good night. Come. No? Okay. Yeah, Juan, take care, man. And again, Juan, it wasn't coming down on you, just trying to give you some context. Sometimes when people are hurting, it's not that they don't have control of that pain. A lot of times that pain has control of them. Okay. So have a great weekend. Shoot me some questions or texts, and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. Thanks again for joining me. Please share this. Yes, Juan, good vibes, my brother. Good vibes.